big round of applause for Sierra!
I too will be using my notes, but mostly to like flex my literacy. Hi, I'm Sierra. And I am here to share some big news. I recently decided that I don't want to die alone. Before I continue, is this too loud?
No.
Okay. Okay, great. I'm like hearing myself. Before I continue, I do like really just want to emphasize that I'm okay. Like I'm going to talk about mental health, and I know that not everybody has really like learned how to process and synthesize their feelings, but I have through a shit ton of therapy and a creative writing BFA. So if anything, it would be a disservice to the whole experience if it didn't all culminate in a 5-minute set in a student showcase at the China Club. So to start it all, I was a lonely kid. My parents moved around a lot, which meant that I moved around a lot because at the age of 8, the concept of free will is pretty loose. So I'd spend a couple of years somewhere and I'd make friends and then I'd be uprooted to a completely different country. I've done actually like 28 years of research, and to find that that's not great for social development. But so I've been battling depression and anxiety since middle school, and again, like I just was not very socially adept. I had very strict parents, and I didn't learn things in the same progression that other kids did. For example, I thought that guys only like you if they want to fuck you, which is true. But it isn't the same as respect. What I've since learned is that they'll only respect you if they're a little bit afraid of you. That's why I carry a knife. Yeah. But so I was just like a horned up little weirdo, and I was like bullied a lot. And eventually I started to party, and I would party to the point that my peers would be like, damn, that girl's really partying like she wants to die. And I did, but not anymore. But at the time, I figured, like, it's all about the journey, not the destination, right? And I wanted to have fun, so I partied like a 9th grader with nothing to lose except, like, maybe, like, everything my parents had ever worked for. But as you can imagine, my parents were like, how can we get this child out of our house before she literally burns it down? At the time I was 15, which is like 10 years too late to just like strand somebody in a field and hope that a nearby family takes it astray. So my parents just like dipped into my college fund and they sent me away to a resort. Not like White Lotus level though, this was more of like a last resort. So I was sent to a therapeutic boarding school in Utah. And when I left a year later, I was equipped with so much more than I'd entered with. When I arrived, I was just like a run-of-the-mill anxious depressive. But when I left with a newfound power. I'd learned discipline. I'd learned fitness. I'd learned planning. And I'd learned an eating disorder. But I'm okay now. Just like, remember that. I've learned to get my shit under control over the last decade. But what all of these experiences taught me was that I wasn't equipped to be a mother or like have long-term relationships. And so I decided that I was going to live my life alone, and I was totally fine with that. But I also made it my entire personality. So I loved arguing with people that were like, someday you're going to meet the right person, you're going to change your mind. I was like, listen, my Instagram handle is @lawlessspinster. Like, even if somebody wanted to love me, what I'm saying is like, don't get too close to me or I will cut your dick off. So I made it to my 20s without like literally any maternal instinct. And you know how like our instincts are like still cave people? Like you're crossing the street and like your like fight or flight activates, and it's not because it's not because your brain is saying like car, fast, to die, you're gonna die. What it's saying is like cheetah, 2 o'clock, it's gonna eat your kneecaps. So when I hit 25 and I still didn't want kids, I figured my cave woman brain was like, yeah, I'm middle-aged, like it's too late for me. My expiration date was like yesterday. I was at peace with that. I dreamt about aging alone in a beachfront home in Malibu with a mantle dedicated to my career milestones, and like all the hearts I'd broken, like all the dicks I'd chopped off. But then one day my hormones changed and I didn't want to cut off dicks anymore. My therapist had suggested that dying alone might be a defense mechanism. So I told myself that she hated me and I blocked her. But over time it ate at me, like I really just gotten like my money's worth. But this belief was like a water bottle that I like was so used to having with me for emergencies that I never opened it up and discovered that it was just like empty the whole time. Eventually I unblocked my therapist and I worked through my past, and then I met somebody. And now my life is like a fairy tale, or like a movie. He's like a divorcee. He's 29 years old, very romantic. I don't want to get cut off his dick. And I'm his manic pixie dream girl, except like I'm just like a little bit more manic. But I'm still doing great.
All right, that's our stand-up one class. Great job, great job, great work, everyone.